Way with exclusive interviews, stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs. Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Hey, so I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes two to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, man, I'm about to bring the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice so we can see the light, see the light.
You've got to let go of the idea that things could have gone any other way. Closure is an inside job. No one's going to give you exactly what you need or want, especially when you're in this down moment. Because what you want isn't there anymore. What you need is to understand that this is how things are. Acceptance is going to allow you to move through those stages of grief to become content and happy again. But that can't happen without your permission to let things go and let things exist as they are. You've got to release the idea that things could have gone any other way.
Very interesting. Oh, it's going to be interesting tonight. Yet again, the voice of reason, Zoe Williams, live from KBLA Talk 1580. I'm in the building. Now, here we go. You heard the clip. So many of us seek closure when a relationship ends abruptly or over time. So many of us would like, an understanding, or we think that even in getting that understanding, that it will satiate whatever wound, whatever hurt we may have. Now, I keep trying to tell you, the best part of any relationship comes from within. Why? Happiness is an inside job. Self-esteem, self-worth, self-approval, self-acceptance, self-acknowledgement, all of these are inside jobs. Now, because of early attachment styles, according to John Bowlby, Mary Ainsworth, and others et al., these attachment styles, in theory, may be working in the subconscious. right? And we're unaware of our particular attachment style. So we think going for closure, seeking closure, requiring closure is something that someone else has to provide us. In a lot of ways, I see it as a whale. Have you ever seen a whale just covered with barnacles? Look at yourself as a whale, and those barnacles are relationship experiences, things that have no closure, situations, circumstances. Dr. Mark Goulston, may he rest in peace, one of my good friends, said that you have to be okay with the apology you never got, with the acknowledgement you never got, with the closure you never got. And he was like, that's part of getting over a situation. Many of us live our lives with relationship barnacles affixed to our soul. And it's a tough life to live because it puts undue pressure on the new person. And a lot of people don't realize the new person is really the old person in a different body, spiritually speaking, because old person meaning your triggers still exist and they will be triggered by the new person. Why? Unless you become a brand new person through healing, through self-acknowledgement, through accountability, through the expansion of your self-awareness, the same person gets the same person. And this is why closure is so difficult for so many people. Tonight's topic: can lack of closure create revolving spiritual debt? Now, the reason why I phrased it that way, revolving spiritual debt. Why? Relationships are inherently spiritual. What is the lesson? The lesson is the revelation of self-knowledge. It is the mirror effect. You see you as you are through the mirror of relationship, right? Why is it debt? Because it's unresolved. Why is it unresolved? Because you believe that it should be solved. Well, here's the problem. Some things can't be solved. Just like sometimes you're not going to get the closure you seek. And you have the solution to that is to be okay with no answer, with no clarity, right? That's the solution. No answer in some instances. And I know people, don't really like to hear it that way. Can lack of closure create revolving spiritual debt? Well, conflict is like revolving credit. What do you mean? Yes, there are some individuals who can pay it all the way down to zero. But for most folks, we have to become managers of conflict. This is why they changed the name from conflict resolution to conflict management. Because there's always going to be a new conflict, even if you get it down to zero. There's always going to be a new conflict. There's always going to be new challenges. There are always going to be new difficulties, right? So, the acceptance of I am a manager of conflict debt, or I am a manager of my spiritual process, right, will keep us out of spiritual debt. How do you mismanage spiritual debt? You don't acknowledge your co-creation in the relationship dynamic that you now don't want. Do you see? Right? Can lack of closure create revolving spiritual debt? An intriguing look into the understanding that we may not ever get an apology, and that's okay. The apology I never got, right? An intriguing look into understanding the apology we may never receive. Heavy stuff. Closure can be important for people to move on from a relationship and avoid returning to unhealthy patterns. However, some say that seeking closure can become a crutch that prevents people from doing the work needed to move forward. Others may avoid closure because they don't want to confront certain issues or are afraid of what they might learn. True or false? Understanding what closure is in a relationship can help you and the other person move forward. It improves mental wellness and promotes healing. And you can take steps to find or give closure. Do you know many people don't want to give closure because they don't want to incriminate themselves? They don't want to take responsibility for their co-creation of the downfall of this particular relationship. 1-800-920-1580. Are you someone who seeks closure? And if so, is it the type of closure you get from your partner? Or do you avoid giving yourself closure by coming to the realization that you may never get it from the other person? How do you deal with lack of closure in a relationship? Is seeking and obtaining closure, like anything else meaningful in life, merely an inside job? Is it merely an inside job? I don't need closure from you. Or do we actually need closure from our partners? How do you know if you need closure? Right? What do you need from me in order to find closure? Right? You already made your mind up about what you're going to do. Do you just want me to be accountable on your way out? 1-800-920-1580. How can the concept, this is going to be deep tonight. So I know we got deep last night, but we're going to continue with it because many people don't have closure on some of the broken ideas that they have about intimate relationships. Right? Last night we talked about love, the highest level, not attachment, right? That many people are mislabeling as love. But we're talking about the highest level of consciousness. And people kept coming into the chat with their current level of consciousness, talking about, how, well, if I did this, why don't they do that? And, and I was saying, it's where you are currently that keeps you there, right? Is closure an excuse to regain access, control, and or influence over a former partner? What are the consequences of re-engaging with a partner that seeks to reconcile out of fear and ego? Oh my goodness. How does the concept of surrender and acceptance relate to the process of seeking closure in relationship? Right? I'm really about to go off. I'm trying to stay calm, but I'm really about to go off. How can the practice of gratitude and appreciation aid in the process of finding closure and letting go of past grievances in relationships? If you're a victim, if you're a perpetual victim, you can't let go. Because if you let go of your grievance, you let go of your victimhood. Oh my God. Nobody wants to hear that. In what ways can the principles of energy healing and chakra balancing assist individuals in finding closure and healing in relationships that have ended without a proper closure? Yeesh. Listen, when I come forward, I got to hear from you. Los Angeles, stand up. Are you currently outside of a relationship you thought was going to make it all the way, and you are seeking some type of closure, some type of understanding as to what happened? If you want to talk about it, this is a non-judgmental space. I would love to have you guys come in, chime in, talk about it, share your feelings. This is how we heal together. The only way to heal together, we must reveal together. When we come forward, the voice of reason will continue this bonfire of a conversation.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580. Tavis is like George and Wheezy. He's moving on up. Last year, Tavis was number 45 on the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. Wait for it. Wait for it. The 2024 list was recently released, and Tavis has jumped to number 33 on the list of the nation's most important talkers, making him the highest-ranked African-American on the coveted roster. Congratulations to Tavis Smiley from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580. We've got you black.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Helping to broaden your political and moral imagination with our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We're KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Woo! 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 1 into the 2, 2 into the 3, 3 into the 4, 4. Then you gotta breathe. 1 into the 2, 2 into the 3, 3 into the 4, 4. Then you gotta breathe. Then you gotta.
Jody can't breathe when I come through, hum to some shoes. Gotta be 20, man. It's not even funny, they can't. The chokehold's too tight, the left looks too right. You know what? You right. These can't look, they hearts racing, they start chasing, but I'm so fast when I blow past that they can't. In the presence of the man, your future look better than your past if you present with the man. You better. Can't share my air, I walk a mile in the pair I wear, and I'm getting better year by year, like they say wine do. Cops couldn't smell me if you brought the canines through, and I pace myself. I know these money hungry wanna taste my wealth, but I keep them on a diet, embrace their health, or even keep them on the quiet, and space myself, and just take a deep breath. I got them grabbing their chest, cause it's hurting them to see fabbing is best, and they in they worst, they'd rather see me laying a hearse than laying.
Hey guys, I'm Heidi Prieb. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time here. Today we're talking about the experience of finding closure within a relationship that has ended badly. So whether that means you had a romantic or friendship or family relationship end in the middle of a fight, whether it means somebody passed away at a point where you had unfinished business with them, most of us have experienced some aspect of feeling like we need closure that we don't have. So before we get too into things, we're going to talk about what I mean when I say the term closure. So in any relationship that involves true intimacy between two people, there is a cycle that the relationship tends to go through over and over again throughout the entire course of both people's lives. And this cycle goes from connection. So what is it to be in connection with someone? It means to have a shared set of contexts. So a shared understanding, a shared set of meanings about the way in which you are interpreting the world and your relationship with one another. And when we're in connection with someone in that way, we are offered the opportunity to see ourselves through their eyes in a way that gives us each a new perspective on ourselves. So to be in that state of connection is to be in a state where we are seeing the world to some degree in the same way and through the eyes of another, and also seeing ourselves in a new way through the eyes of another. Now, what inevitably happens with any close relationship is at some point there is a rupture. So a rupture is the place where that set of shared meanings and understandings that you have, in some capacity, large or small, breaks down. So where there was once alignment, there is no longer alignment in some small or large way.
I'm sorry. We have so many people are trying to create a framework around it. No disrespect to the young lady's work, but so many people try to create a framework around the ephemerality and irascibility of the human conscious, right? If you're a work in progress, most of us are disorganized to some degree. So listen, we see things the same. Impossible to do, right? Impossible to see things the same. It's just, if you want to use psychology, then use psychology, right? The psychologist doesn't know what's in your head, just like you can't know what's in your partner's head. And in much the same way as psychology moves, okay, well, let's stop trying to evaluate the soul of another person. Let's look at their behaviors. This is why everybody wants to distill everything down to behaviors, because psychology does that, right? I've told you before, the term psychology means study of the soul. But the psychologist knows they can't study the soul. Why? Because they're using the scientific method. So what happens is your behaviors have to align with my behaviors. And when we align behaviorally, then we're a match. But what most people don't realize is, until it's too late, that most behaviors are performative. Why? Because you haven't met a person that's not wearing a mask. And this is why closure is so difficult. This is why when it's all said and done, you look back and go, who in the hell was that person? I didn't know that was you. This is you. The you that I was in love with is not you. This is, so, okay, the you I'm seeing now, that's you? Do you see? Right? See, as long as we're aligned behaviorally, because anybody can declare from their mouth, I agree. I believe that way too. Yes, I believe. I agree. Anybody can agree with a concept, but are you the embodiment of the concept? Right? And in being the embodiment of the concept, you're actually bigger than the linguistic framing of that concept. What do I mean by that? Alfred Korzybski. Right? The map is not the territory. The map is a representative of the territory. The map is not the topography, right? So what happens is we align our maps and we think we're aligned. Do you see? This is why closure is so difficult. Can the lack of closure create revolving spiritual debt? An intriguing look into understanding the apology we never received. See, the moment we understand ourselves as an ephemeral work in progress, right? We are changing. If you're working on yourself, you're changing, right? You're changing. If we acknowledge ourselves to be this, then guess what? It's hard to pin yourself down to a concept. Oh, I'm this type of person. No, I was this type of person when I first got in the relationship. But I've been working on myself ever since, and I've been resolving different areas in my life, and I'm evolving and changing. Sometimes when we evolve, we organically grow apart from even the person we consider that we love, right? Closure is very difficult when you are dating a poser, someone wearing a mask. Right? I'm a people pleaser. Or no, I'm not. I was just doing that because I wanted to get in further with you. Do you see? Yeah, I'm consistent. I like consistency too. No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I'm dismissive avoidant. If you get too close to me, you know, my wounds are triggered, right? It feels like you're smothering me. And this is how people understand each other. When you get into a relationship, your job is to observe yourself. Do you see? When we come forward, you think, I'm just beginning. When we come forward, the voice of reason, we're going to keep the cook up going on for the Thursday show.
Alone, so I know it's one of them. Every time I flip my phone, breathe. One and then the two and then the three and then the four, then you gotta breathe. One and then the two and then the three and then the four, then you gotta breathe.
He's on fire tonight. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Tyreek Wynn. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Former President Trump has cast his ballot ahead of next week's primary election in Florida. Afterwards, Trump talked to reporters and said his campaign is going well. Later in North Carolina, the former president focused on his political rival, Kamala Harris, who is black, accusing her of decimating the middle class with radical liberal policies. The founder of famous Amos Cookies has died at the age of 88. Wallace Wally Amos Jr., who is black, died Tuesday at his Honolulu, Hawaii home from complications of dementia, his family says. Pennsylvania State Police are releasing the results of a study on last year's traffic stops. According to the report, there were 450,000 traffic stops in Pennsylvania, with most of them happening during the daytime on weekdays. The study also said people of color were not statistically more likely to get arrested or searched than white people in Pennsylvania. That's the latest. I'm Tyreek Wynn on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Hey DQ fans, the $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal will leave you and your wallet full. Grab a bacon cheeseburger and order of regular fries, a drink, and a sundae for a whole lot of happy. Only at participating DQ locations. Happy tastes good.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelinos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% plus finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
And now Martha Stewart for Skechers. When I make a dish or embark on a craft project, I always use the finest, most fabulous ingredients and materials. Which is why, when it comes to footwear, I love Skechers. Because Skechers is the comfort technology company and uses the most luxurious, innovative materials and designs to make wondrously comfortable footwear with all the fits and features like Arch Fit and Skechers' world-famous air-cooled memory foam. It's exactly the way I'd make shoes.
Find Skechers at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Baby girl, you know my situation, and sometimes I know you get impatient. but you don't put on a show to get ovations. Take it to court and go through litigations. And I respect your gangster, treat you like a princess and put some on your neck to thank you. She's my pinch hitter. When the starting lineup ain't playing right, I come off the bench with her. It might sound like I'm gassing ya, but it takes time to get from the backseat to the passenger. We've been creeping and sneaking just to keep it from leaking. We so deep in our freaking and we don't sleep on the weekend. Wifey's a little bit uptight, wonder why I keep coming home in the middle of the night. It'll be alright, if y'all bump heads it'll be a fight, but I said it'll be alright, come on.
I really wanna be with you, but I gotta be real with you. I can't leave you alone, and I know I'm living wrong, but I can't let you go. You're the one I want in my life. I already got away.
There are a lot of good things to say about closure. Roughly defined, it's this at-peace feeling that comes when you're ready to move on from something. And it's a great feeling to have when you're getting over a breakup or graduating. Research even suggests that those who feel closure about something often have less regret about it. But that being said, seeking closure has a dark side too. And if you're not careful, chasing after it could set you up for some pretty bad decisions. Before you ask, no, this episode is not about rebound relationships. It's about what psychologists call need for closure, or need for cognitive closure. It's a trait that exists on a sliding scale, meaning that some people have a higher NFC and some people have a lower one. Where you fall on this scale can change with the situation, but people do tend to have some kind of fundamental preference. And generally, that preference depends on how comfortable you are with uncertainty. If you have a really low NFC, you probably prefer ambiguity and leaving things unresolved. Like, you might not want to know why that person broke up with you, or you might not feel like putting in the effort to find out. Meanwhile, if you have a high NFC, you most likely prefer solid, certain answers and quickly tying up loose ends. This can obviously apply to romantic relationships, but it can also apply to just about anything that involves decision-making. And while there's nothing wrong with having a high or low need for closure, a high NFC is associated with a number of pitfalls. Because if your goal is to feel closure as fast as possible, that could lead to mistakes. For example, multiple studies have found that a high NFC can cause someone to make rash decisions, especially when they already have prior knowledge about a subject. Like, imagine your friends are arguing about where to get takeout. If you have a high NFC, it might feel more satisfying to just hurry up and pick a place you already know instead of debating the pros and cons, even if another option could be better. And that makes sense. If your goal is to get a quick, satisfying answer, it might not matter as much if you're picking the objectively best choice. That's a pretty harmless example, but this idea can also come into play when you're picking a college, choosing where to work, or deciding how to vote on political issues. Additionally, having a high NFC can also lead to biases, like one called correspondence bias. This is where you make a generalization about someone based on a specific situation. Like, if you met a coworker right after their big performance review, you might assume they're just a fundamentally nervous, stressed out person, which isn't necessarily true. Now, that totally isn't to say that having a high need for closure is bad, or that a low need is all sunshine and rainbows. Research does suggest that those with a low NFC tend to be less prone to bias, and to make more thoughtful choices and analyses, because they're not rushing to get closure. But avoiding closure entirely can also lead to missed opportunities. Like, if your Tinder match didn't text you back right after that first meetup, you might not want to know why. But maybe that info could help you on your next first date. Or maybe they were just a jerk. Point is, you don't know, so you can't really learn from the experience. And a high NFC also has some significant benefits. For example, in situations where people have to make a choice using no prior knowledge, those with a high NFC seem to spend more time researching their options. One study that examined this was published in 2015 in the journal Motivation and Emotion. It asked 115 participants to take a survey that measured their need for closure, examining things like their preference for order and discomfort with ambiguity. Then, the researchers had participants do a decision-making task involving a grid of squares. All the squares started out gray, but if you clicked on...
You know what I think? I think this generation has a low NFC. They don't really care. They don't connect deep enough to care. Closure is meaningless for a lot of people in this generation, in my opinion. Right? In my opinion. Like, if you spend years connected to somebody, you know, you've been close enough to witness their breathing patterns and, you know, like you've been close. This generation, time spent doesn't matter, in my opinion. What do you guys think? 1-800-920-1580. The yearning for closure in the aftermath of an intimate relationship's end is a deeply human impulse. It is rooted in our desire to make sense of the emotional tumult, right, that accompanies such separations. But what happens when when this closure is denied? Have you ever been denied closure, Andy? Somebody just, I ain't got nothing to say to you, right? Or have you reached a level of closure and not shared it with your partner? We experienced that quite a bit, where you broke up with me 8 months before you even told me. 1-800-920-15. I want to know your thoughts on this. I'm framing this up. Does the lack of an apology or final conversation leave us in a state of spiritual limbo, right? Generating what could be described as revolving spiritual debt. On tonight's topic, we're going to explore this notion by weaving together the insights from various disciplines, including metaphysics, psychology, spirituality. Hell, we might even do theoretical physics. Let's get it done. We got callers on the line. Let's go. Attila, what are your thoughts on tonight's topic about closure? Is it necessary?
Uncle
Yes. How are you? So what are your thoughts on tonight's topic, right? Is it necessary, or can we give ourselves closure?
I think you should always seek to give yourself closure. And I guess it depends on really how you define closure. If we're talking about coming to terms and to the reality of what you're actually dealing with, then yeah, for sure. I think that depending upon, that's why I asked that true or false question, where I said the person who performed the worst in the relationship seeks closure the most. I think what the real question is, who is attached to the lie the most? And by the lie, I mean like the lie of what the relationship is, the picture or the dream of what it is that you're trying to achieve versus the reality. I think the more that you are attached to the fantasy, the more you're going to need closure because you're fooling yourself.
You know,
maybe I'm just avoiding on that. I don't know.
No, go deeper. This is deep. Hey, hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Are you saying, and just let me be clear, the person who performs the worst is the person who seeks closure the most? Is that what you said? Please unpack that for me.
Worst, best. I guess what I should say is the person who is performing, performs the worst. And what I guess what I mean by performs the worst is their attachment to that fantasy. The person who is attached the most seeks closure.
Wait, stay with me. Listen, when we come forward, we gonna go back to Houston, Texas, because this could be monumental. What? You mean to tell me the person who's performing the worst, they could lie, they could have cheated, they could have done a whole bunch of things. They want closure more than the person that was lied to, betrayed, or cheated on? When we come forward, Attila is going to tell us.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
Many homeowners and businesses use man-made stone as an alternative to traditional stone for their countertops. Handling these products puts workers' lives at risk. Without proper conditions, workers could die from the terminal lung disease silicosis. Employers must supply respiratory protection and water systems. It's essential to wet stone when cutting it to prevent breathing in dust. Do away with dusty, deadly practices. Visit WorkSafeWithSilica.org. This is a message from Cal OSHA.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Thea Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chucha's opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chucha's Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Around here, we don't believe in victimhood. We believe in raising our voices, amplifying black voices in the climate conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Baby girl. There's a storm. I can't really explain it. I'm so into you now. I wanna be more than a friend of you now. When they ask, I mention my baby girl in the interviews now. And I don't bring the problems from the 90s and the 2000s. There's no reason to have a friend or two now. Cause the kid's ready to tell you how he feel in a few vows. Maybe I speak in general now. But girl, I'ma do whatever just to keep a grin on you now. Where I go, they wear bikinis in the winter too now. What you think about tan lines on the skin of you now? Why wouldn't I wanna spend a few thou on Fifth Ave shopping sprees and them dinners to chow? I ain't concerned what other men would do now. As long as when I slide up in you, you growl. And any dude with you, he better be a kin of you now. And I ain't jealous, it's the principle now. I'm so into you.
Let's say you're miserable and unhappy. Okay, here's a cure. Find what's valuable and let it go. So we could say, well, maybe it's a relationship that you have. Maybe it's a relationship with your parents, right? And the relationship is pathological, but you're locked into it. You value it, and no wonder, because it's a relationship with your parents. And you're suffering terribly because of it. Well, what do? Maybe you let it go. It's a sacrifice. And the idea is that, well, that'll clear the future for you. Well, very frequently when people are suffering terribly, not always, because sometimes you just suffer stupidly, blindly, and without recourse, you know. You get cancer and then you die. So we have no idea how to deal with that. But sometimes the reason that you're suffering is because you just won't let go of the thing that's biting you. And you think, well, I can't let go of, and I've had clients like this. I can't stop communicating with my mother, who phones me 3 times a day, every day of my life, and never says anything that isn't unbelievably critical and demeaning. I can't let that go. It's like, well, that's not such a good idea. The funny thing too, often when people let something like that go, it goes away, sorts itself out, and then comes back. So they don't even end up losing it. But unless they're willing to let it go, to sacrifice it, they make no headway whatsoever. And so one of the rules is, if people are impeding your development, you sacrifice your relationship with them, right? It's a very, very rough rule. So
that's heavy. Whenever somebody is impeding your personal growth, you sacrifice your relationship with them. That is the ultimate closure. Are you willing to do it? Or are you holding on to something that, you just aren't at a moment to let go of right now, right? You just haven't gotten there. But you do know that it's impeding your forward progress. 1-800-920-1580. In what ways can the principles of radical acceptance and non-attachment assist individuals in finding closure and healing in relationships that have ended abruptly? Radical acceptance and non-attachment. I'm going to tell you, many people don't know your attachment style is probably the thing that's holding on to that person, whether they be good for you or not. And then if the relationship ends abruptly, it is the attachment style that needs to be hugged and loved and cared for, especially if it's an insecure attachment style, right? That wound will be triggered and it has to be addressed. That's the one that's clamoring for, or that's the thing that's clamoring for closure. And I keep telling you, anything that's meaningful in your spirit comes from the inside, not the outside, right? We got Atala on the line. She's going to give us what she was talking about, because she said something that was quite profound. The person who is doing the worst, who showed up in the worst way in the relationship, is usually the person that's seeking closure. Is that how you framed it? What is the true or false question?
Yes, that is the true or false question. You framed it correctly. So I want to kind of like flip it a little bit. And it's funny because I've been reading the comments in the chat and everyone's like talking about cheating and lying. What about people pleasing, fawning, passive aggressive communications, violent even communications, whether that's under duress, coercion, whatever. I think that we tend to think of these outward actions as being the worst. And it's not to say that they're not obviously horrible, but my thing is, if your actions are just as harmful with the impact, but they're not visibly seen, are they not just as bad? And I say all that to say that it's not so much about passing blame as much as it is a real time to reflect on how you've behaved in certain situations. And I say this as someone who is guilty of this, has been guilty of this, is still working on this. And I think that in terms of seeking closure, it is internal always. Always. I realized why I never like openly sought closure, in past relationships. And I always kind of attribute that to avoidance. But I think the real truth behind that is that I had to acknowledge that the fantasy and the fetish of the person was more important to me than the actual human being.
Ooh. Don't slap us while we're eating. Hey, my goodness. The fantasy, the fetish of the person was more important than the person themselves?
Absolutely. Wow. Or even if that's just an outcome, you want to be married, you want to be whatever it is that you're looking for, next level of commitment with this person, whatever. If that is at the top of your list and not actually discovering who you're dealing with, you are just as culpable as them. And to be quite honest, I think that the internal actions that we have within ourselves that drive us towards these types of communications and ways of being to get what we want from people is the same drive that causes those people to push away and have those actions of cheating, dishonesty, whatever. And I think that it's just really hard to acknowledge that because it's very painful.
Gosh.
So, yeah.
Man, oh man, it's Shevitz. You just hit us upside our dome piece on our way home from Jones Beach. Attila, what did you just do?
I brought Houston in the building.
Houston, Texas is in the building. If you want to bring your city in the building, do you know? It's very easy. All you got to do is call me, 1-800-920-1580. 1-800-920-1580. Get to your phone lines. I want to talk to everybody. We got Kenny from Detroit. Kenny, what up?
What's up, brother? What's up, brother?
Come on, man. Come on, brother. Come on. You got to put it on the table. You got to talk about it tonight.
Yeah, I'm loving the topic though. And you said something very profound too. When you were saying that some people, I've heard this before, that, people will, in a relationship 8 months before you even know about it. And sometimes you can sense that, you can feel it in the relationship. A lot of things, like Attila was speaking on, they said our attachments really draw us together. So, I don't know if spiritual, I'm not as deep spiritually. I can't articulate. I am deep spiritually, but I can't articulate it as much.
And those be some of the deepest people. Those be some of the deepest people who can't put it into words, so don't trip. Go ahead, brother, finish.
But I definitely feel like our attachments do keep us in relationships longer than we should be. I think we're just, here to use one another to cope with life. To, and like you said before, we're learning a lesson in this relationship. A lot of times that lesson isn't learned as fast as you would want it. So you end up staying in relationships longer than you want also. You build, connections, you build these bonds that you can't break, although you know that this person might just be setting you up for the person that you really should be with.
So Kenny, how do you deal with closure? I mean, do you seek it, or it doesn't matter to you?
Attila spoke on it real well. Like, it's internal. I really do believe closure should be within yourself.
Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me, Kenny. Kenny from Detroit is just getting started. When we come forward, more from the VOR and his callers.
It's more than a flash, and I would've traded it all in orderly fashion. A villa in Florida, we crashing just off the shore, so you can hear when the water be splashing. The drop top 3 and a quarter, we dashing. The flawless diamonds and the border, we flashing. The money we oughta be stashing. I make sure every quarter be cashing. I can't really explain. My friends be thinking I'm slipping. These girls be